Hello and welcome to the PricedUp Cheltenham Festival preview night. This is the day 2 preview and we'll be going through every single race on the card. I'm your host, George Elek. I'm delighted to be joined by the racing blogger, Dineen Aidan Coleman. We've just recorded episode 1, so if you're at home watching the episode 2, go back and watch episode 1 first, unless the racing's already happened. Welcome to you guys all watching it here with us and to you watching it at home. We've done the pleasantries already, so we don't have to do all that again. We'll get straight into the racing. Right, first race on the card on Wednesday is the newly named Turner's Novice Hurdle. A bit confusing, obviously, with the Turners previously being Novice Chase, but it's the 2.5 mile Novice Hurdle opening the Wednesday cards. And Final Demand and the New Line are 13-8 joint favourites. Kopek de Board is the 5-2 third favourite here, albeit, as we've discussed, likely to go to the Supreme. The Yellow Clay, 5-1. Romeo Coolio, 15-2. James's Gate is 10-1, 12-1, bar those. And Johnny, coming to you first, you've got a strong fancy here.
Yeah, look, I like the New Line. I think the ground is going to suit him. I think he's a horse. He's a classy, sexy horse with a good turn of foot. I think this trip is ideal for him, as he's shown. He's a 2.5 miler. Like, he wouldn't look out of place in the 2 mile race. That's kind of my reading of it. If Kopek de Board was injured and they put the New Line in the 2 mile race, I think he'd probably be favoured. Whereas if you did the same about Final Demand, I don't think he would be favoured or anything close to it. I just think he's a horse with a lot of pace. He looked a good horse in Chepstow. He didn't look quite as good in Newbury the first day he ran. Admittedly, he beat a horse that won the Sydney Banks at the same time, you know. But he did win, and I know you can pick holes in the Challow Hurdle form, and there was probably the one that had in it, Wendigo and all them kind of horses, the electric something belonged to Chris Gordon. But I heard a fella saying it, and he's actually right. When fellas were saying he didn't beat much, well, how could there be any good the way he beat them at the same time? Do you know what I mean? Like, if there were good horses, he'd be 190 horse, you know, that kind of way. So it's like he did, like, you'd never. I can't remember a horse win the Grade 1 without even moving. Like, it's such a not unless they were, say, 10-1 on Easter bracket or something like that. Do you know what I mean? But like, for a horse that was like 5-2 or 3-1 in a race like that. I thought he won with some swagger, and I think I can see him just coast along. To me, Final Demand is the one thing you don't want in Cheltenham is an Irish soft ground horse. And I think when the spring coming and the ground drying, I think he'll probably be inconvenienced. He looks like he'd be better suited by the 3 mile race. Now, he could even switch in there yet at the same time, but I probably feel he'll run here. I more than likely will run here in the finish, but I can see the New Line stalking him and picking him at the last and going away from him, and I can see him having a turn of foot that no other horse in the race will have. The Yellow Clay has an each way chance, but like you'd say, his Lord was an ace for him. I don't think that was as good a race as other years. Super Sunday, Wingman, I don't think they're wonderful horses. Like, Final Demand beat Wingman. Actually, the race that Final Demand won at Leopardstown was a poor race too, and really, it mightn't have been that hard to win it as easy as he did. Okay, the New Line, you can pick holes in his form, but I think he's the makings of a special horse at the same time.
Good news for you, Johnny. The lads at PricedUp are pushing the New Line out from 13-8 to 9-4. That is live now on the PricedUp boost page. So get your phones out, guys, here if you want to make the most of that. The New Line 9-4 from 13-8. The big boost from PricedUp. Aidan, how do you see the Turners?
I agree with Johnny. Reid, a New Line. I think he's the most likely winner. But one horse that's absolute crazy value, in my opinion, is Potter's Charm. Like, he should be at least half that price. And, you know, you're on about the New Line coming back for the Supreme after winning a 2-5 Grade 1. Potter's Charm 2 days before won a 2 mile Grade 1. Do you know, he's got pace. They're on record as saying he shouldn't have ran when he got beat at Cheltenham on Trials Day. It was a complete afterthought. I was with the Twiston Davises 2 weeks before, and there was no way in the world he was running. And then I was with him 3 days before, and they had to run him because he was so fresh. They couldn't. They were worried about him being a danger to himself and others if he hadn't ran. Arguably, you think he should go and win, but when it's an afterthought and he's not primed for that race or anything near it, there is excuses. I'm just saying he's value at like 12-1. I think that's crazy value. Crazy value. He's been there and done it at Cheltenham this year. He will be placed. Like, at least he will be placed. I can guarantee that nearly. New Line, the most likely winner. He's been very impressive. Don't understand the Challow stat. I can't make any sense of it. There's no horse that's won the Challow has ever won at Cheltenham. I can't see a reason for that. Do you think there's a reason for it, Johnny? Can you?
Yeah, no, I can't either. I wouldn't. I'm not a stats person or anything like it. I think there's a load of pony, to be honest. And
But literally 40 something winner.
yeah, but the fact that like Denman won the Cello,
Yeah.
and got a tap from the man above and didn't win the Sun Alliance. Do you know what I mean? Do you know what I'm
Yeah.
saying? Like it can be done. Of course, it can be done.
I think it can. Of course, it can be done. It's just an interesting stat.
It
isn't
is, I suppose, yeah. It probably is, and look, fellas will point to that and think that, and you can point to any statute. I suppose it is a slightly damning statistic at the same time, but I don't know. It wouldn't stop me from backing the new line anyway.
No, and I would agree. It's just it's a little bit of a little bit of something, an elephant in the room, in a way that there's. Like literally, there's no winner of the Channel that's ever won at Cheltenham. It's crazy, really, if you think about it. Really.
Blogger, what do you make of stats like that?
I pay no attention to stats.
I can see you falling asleep, basically, as they're talking about.
It's a bit hot in here, isn't it? Need to turn the aircon on. I think the most interesting point about this race is the big drift on Final Demand. Brian Drew was on the Nick Luck podcast today, and he said he's only 70-30 to run in the race. If you check the latest Met Office going reports at Cheltenham, there's no rain due at all. It looks like he's going to head to the Albert Bartlett. As we speak, the new line's clear favourite. He's hardening all the time. I think he's the right favourite. You won't see an easier winner, as Johnny said, of a Grade 1 in your life. It was an armchair ride for Harry Skelton. He looks a really talented horse, and I think JP paid about £1 million for him. And he looks like he's going to take the beating. I think the Yellow Clay's form ties in with Final Demand. They both beat Wingmen by about 11 lengths. And I think the new line's a better horse than the pair of them, especially on good ground. Final Demand, if you see him in the flesh, as I did at the Dublin Racing Festival, it's a strapping horse, but he looks a real soft ground animal. And I don't think he's going to get his conditions there. I think the ground's really going to dry out. I think the new line's going to take all the beating. Potter's Charm obviously broke all our hearts there at Cheltenham a few weeks ago. Question for you, Aidan. When a horse is fresh, can you not just give them a good gallop and take that out of them? Do you have to run them in the race?
I suppose, yeah, in hindsight, that's probably what they would have done. But then at the same time, they probably did envisage going 15 minutes down the road and picking up a cheque for 50 grand. I would imagine that would have been it. If Cheltenham wasn't on, I imagine exactly they would have done what you did. And that would be, they're regretting not doing that, I could imagine. That's basically it, yeah.
So am I.
Yeah.
You're not the only one. I think we all were.
You do realise he's going to get that race now, don't you?
Yeah, I've seen
Not much good to us.
Are we going to get paid out?
Yeah, it's still going to be a 1 beside his name. He's going to be unbeaten.
Would you think a million bought the new line?
Yeah, I do. That's what. Yeah. Do you not?
I think there'd be more, would it not?
How could you value a gelding at over £1 million?
But would they give him 500 grand for point to point? Surely he's cheaper than $1 million.
I mean,
He's
your
a
man who owned
ready-made-
him was paying 600 grand for Black Lion, wasn't he?
Yeah,
9-year-old
and a
Tracer.
horse of Henderson's that never won a race, I'd say. Yeah, it's,
Yeah.
I don't know what his name is, but like when you think, the way I look at it anyways, if fellas give him $500,000 for point to pointers, they bought out of the side of the road. This guy's a ready-made favourite.
No, I'd agree. I can see your logic. 100%.
Would you rather two of them or one of him? I'd go for one of him all day. I fancy he made more than $1 million myself.
Right,
I don't know, but I'm
Yeah.
guessing he did anyway.
Well, I'm sure JP will be hoping he delivers a few quid back here. Not that it matters.
Maybe JP's not watching, but that 9-4 price boost, price up could be in trouble.
Absolutely.
Yeah, the new line 9-4 boosted from 13 to 8, and the selection for the guys in the
I
Turners.
think it's the first race we've all agreed on the same horse.
There we go.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah.
And you're on record as saying you don't listen to us. So
On now to the Brown Advisory, where Ballyburn is the 11 to 8 favourite ahead of Dancing City at 3 to 1. Better Days Ahead 7 to 1. Croke Park 10 to 11. Django Bay, Lecky Watson both 10 to 11. Sorry, 10 to 1, I should say. Stella Story 12 to 1. 16 to 1 bar those. Ballyburn is going to be popular, Blogsy, with those acca punters looking for multis to try and land a big one. 11 to 8. Are you in or are you out?
Oh, I'm all in. I mean it. I'm all in. People are seriously underestimating this horse. I've seen loads of these previews, and all year long, all I've heard is rumours. Ballyburn can't jump. Ballyburn can't do this. Ballyburn, blah, 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 blah. Do you know what Ballyburn does? He wins, and especially round Cheltenham. The only time he's been beat is by Sergino recently, and we all know, God bless his little soul, hopefully he makes a comeback, because Sergino could have been the next Altior, by the way. He's that bloody good. Right-handed round Kempton, didn't like it at all, got taken off his feet. He's bred to be a stayer. Hacked up at Punchestown on debut, got beat by Gino, went back there to the Dublin Racing Festival, and Paul Townend was just riding him very cosily the whole time. Nudged him over the last, Croke Park took a length out of him, and he just quickened past fairly easily. This is a serious horse, and you've got to remember, the ground at Cheltenham is going to be good to soft come the day. We're not going to have heavy going. Dancing City is going to be run off his feet. Better days ahead. I'll be surprised if Gordon actually runs him come the day. He needs soft ground. Croke Park's not going to line up. Lecky Watson will probably run. Stella Story's not going to run. Quaid the Bourbon, he needs to learn how to jump. I think we're going to have a 5 or 6 runner race. And this, for me, is the second best bet at the meeting. He just wins.
Right, last time Blogger said that, Johnny, you said you were going to be laying him.
Yeah, I definitely wouldn't be back in Ballyburn. I wouldn't. I might be wrong, but like be wrong, I'm wrong 20 times a day. So look, I don't know. I'm yet to be convinced that he's as good as he was last year. As good over fences. I think there is plenty of opposition here. The Dancing City will run. I'd say Better Days Ahead will run. Lecky Watson will run. Gorgeous Town, Key, the Bourbon. There's probably a few others here. It won't be that small a field. He's been used to the smaller fields. Like the first day he won, he was out on his own, and he was more or less running in a one-horse race. The last day there was about four or five in it. I'd like to see him pressurised properly, the way he was pressurised at Kempton. I have a feeling his jumping could go to pieces. You wouldn't know. He's got to get the trip, whatever way you say it. Like it's 3 mile and a bit with it.
Point to point winner. 3 mile point to point winner.
Point to points, they just walk around for the first 2 circuits, and then they work out which one they wanted to win beforehand. Get 400,000 off or something for him. Look, I don't know. I'm not convinced. I think Dancing City is an opponent. I do think Better Days Ahead has a chance. There's real confidence from the yard about Better Days Ahead, better than his form suggests. I'd say he'll run a real big race. I thought everyone is saying Dancing City wants soft ground, but then yet he has form and good yielding in Punchestown at the same time. You know, at the end of the season, which won't be too dissimilar to what he'll encounter here. Like Ballyburn did beat Dancing City in a bumper by about 6 or 7 lengths in Punchestown, and like to be fair, Ballyburn did win the 2.5 mile novice, where Dancing City could only finish third in the Albert Bartlett. So on hurdle levels, there is no comparison, but it's a chase. And I'm Ballyburn, like what he does do, what I don't like about him is running with his head in his chest for the first mile of the race, and give it away that bit of energy. And sometimes, maybe not last year, Fact the Foil, but this can turn into a proper slog. And here, he's not going to get it as easy here as he would in an Irish race. That's the one thing I think about Mullen's horses here, is they're not going, if there's any opposition, particularly not from his stable, and Better Days Ahead is definitely not going to make it easy from Dancing City. Will be doing his best, but probably not going to intimidate Ballyburn if they can help it. The same probably applies to Key, the Bourbon, and Lecky Watson. But horses like Gorgeous Tom are not going to make it easy for Ballyburn. I just think when it comes to it, look, I can see him winning. Of course I can, but I wouldn't touch him with a badge.
Who would be your selection at the prices?
I'd go with Better Days Ahead. I'd say the way they're talking, he will put in a career best here, and he'd definitely be at least placed.
7-1 about Better Days Ahead. On Ballyburn, Aidan, we got. Are you team Blogger? Are you team Dineen?
Absolutely, Blogger, 100%. I think 11-8 is one of the best backs. It should be the best bet of the week, I think. I really do. The trip is not an argument for me. He will 110% get 3 miles. I've no doubt about that. 2.5 Leopardstown is a stiff 2.5, and he was strong at the line. He was going away. He was arguably more impressive in the last 100 yards. Another 3 furlongs on, he would have won that race at distance. And he is beating Croke Park. People love knocking Croke Park, but he's won 2 Grade 1s this year. So arguably he's achieved more than the rest of them. Most horses in Britain and Ireland he's achieved more. I don't think any other novices won 2 Grade 1s. He was 1-4 last year for the 2.5 hurdle. I think he should be similar price for this race. I really do.
Wow.
I cannot see any of the others beating him. Going back to the Henry de Bromhead thing, Gorgeous Tom is a great each way bet. Like he won earlier on in the season, beating a horse that won a listed a horse in Leopardstown the other day, Monbeg Park, Sean Doyle's. Yeah, won a big race the other day. He beat him very convincingly earlier on in the season, and then he finished 4th in his next start in the Grade 1, and he finished 4th beating a length. Nothing, like literally, and he was nowhere to be. He wasn't even in the picture jumping the last, and he flew home with Mark Walsh, was beating a length by Croke Park and the likes. he hasn't ran since that, and to me, he's a good each way bet, but I cannot see past Ballyburn. I really can't. He was a champion hurdle horse in November. That was wrong because he's not quick enough for 2 miles. But like, his jumping isn't brilliant, but it's safe. It's safe, which is the main thing.
I've a question for you there. Why does he run with his head that low? Why
Horses have styles like that. Some go with their heads high, like Tidal Bay, Q Card. Some go with them low. There's not really a notable one in recent years, I'd imagine, but it's preference to the animal, and there's no bearing on how you ride them or how they go.
The one thing I think about Ballyburn, I might be all wrong here. This time last year, if he ran in the Supreme Novices, he'd have been 7-4 on, and he'd have probably bolted in. Now suddenly he ain't a 2 miler. A year down along the line. Do you know what I'm saying? Like he would have had he could have run in either race last year, either novice race, and probably won both of them. Like he'd beaten Slade Steele. He would definitely have won the Supreme at 2 miles. Yet now, everyone is saying once he got slaughtered by Sergino, admittedly a top horse, probably a brilliant horse. I knew he was never a 2 miler. What a load of horse shit that is, in my opinion.
Kempton right-handed, Johnny, is such a speed track.
Yeah,
such a fast
I
course.
understand. I know, I understand, but like he ain't a slow horse, in my opinion. Or far from it, in fact, you know.
But Trip is not an argument to me. He will stay. I promise you now.
But one thing, and I know you could well be right. You could be right because I'm right. I'm wrong a lot of the time. But what would you say if the 2.5 mile race was still here? What race would he run in? The 2.5 mile or the Brown Advice?
The Turners, 100%.
And me, I agree with you. So I think the Trip is a worry for him here, especially the way he doesn't conserve energy in a race, and they'll get racing a long way out here, and any little errors. Now I agree with you. He jumps safe without being spectacular, but I think if they get him chasing it, they can force him into making bloomers. And that's I wouldn't be adamant that he won't win, but I definitely wouldn't touch him.
You mentioned Better Days Ahead would be the one that you'd be taking, but PricedUp are boosting Dancing City from 3-1 out to 9-2, which is a huge boost live on site now. If I told you, Johnny, that Dancing City was 9-2 on that screen rather than 3-1, would that appeal?
I think Dancing City and Better Days Ahead, if he's to be beaten, they are the two horses. Gorgeous Thomas about the only other horse I'd give a chance to really. He on goodish ground, he could be dangerous. Dancing City is a good horse, very good horse, and improved a lot at the end of last season. Hasn't done much wrong this season either. Like Better Days Ahead was beaten by Croke Park, and I suppose it's kind of a paradox to think. I think Croke Park would have no chance if it ran here, none whatsoever. Yet you could say, well, what are you talking about? Because Better Days Ahead was beaten by Croke Park. But I'd say if on a day like this day, Better Days Ahead would definitely improve a lot. The way they're talking, he's going to run a blind in race here.
Blogsy, given we're not that far into tonight's preview, Constitution Hill, you said it will win. You've been very keen on Madras chances as well. Ballyburn, another one. Do you put these into multis?
Personally, I'm a single punter.
So even though obviously if they're all value, then the accumulative value of the Yaka.
Yeah.
But you don't.
Just quite hard to get high stakes on those kind of bets.
Yes, that's what I was looking for. Okay.
Am I allowed to say that?
Clang. Yeah. Right. On to the Coral Cup now. Gopekdemi is 5-1 favourite for this one, but looking unlikely to run here. I think we'll talk about him later on in the show. Be aware, for all intents and purposes, is basically the 6-1 favourite here, with Badu at 8-1, Alto Belly 10-1, Impose 12-1. Super Sunday 12-1, Jericho to Repene 12-1, Bally Adam and Langadan both 14-1, 16-1 bar those. Blogsy, let's ignore the favourites. We'll get into that whole conversation later. Who do you like here?
Well, I was at Huntingdon when Be Aware had his gallop with Grey Dawning and the New Lion, and he went 40 lengths clear. Jockey couldn't hold on to him. Well, I mean, if he's going to do that around Cheltenham, he's going to be gassed with 4 furlongs left to go. So I couldn't be with Be Aware for the life of me. I want to take him on all day long. Woodhoo cost Gordon Elliott 50,000 guineas. I think he's won 6 or 7 in a row. Yeah. Done a phenomenal job. But I'd be surprised if he was good enough to win this. Altabelli's a horse who I stuck up with Aidan Coleman as my 5 to follow for the year. I think he was rated 132 at the time. He's now 147. I said he's a 150 horse and the best handicapped horse in the country. He's proved me right, but I don't think 2 mile 5 around Cheltenham is what he wants. There's a JP McManus horse in here flying under the radar called Comfort Zone, trained by the wily young man Joseph O'Brien, who's got into the race off a 137. He was 3rd to the Wall Park at Galway off a 129. He had a prep run at Leopardstown a few weeks ago behind Al Gasparo, and he crept into the race really nicely. This has been nibbled at the market from 25s into 16s recently. I think they've teed him up for the race, and I think this could be a yellow and green hammer special.
What source?
Comfort Zone.
Comfort Zone, yeah, 16-1 with Priced Up as it stands at the moment. Bloggers pick for the Coral Cup. Aidan, any fancies here?
Nope.
Johnny?
Yeah, generally speaking, I think the handicap hurdles are hard at this meeting. I do think they're really, really open. They wouldn't appeal to me as a betting proposition. I can pass on a tip for. I don't even know the horse. I know the horse, but I don't. I know it's. I don't think it's that exposed. Impose Etoile.
Oh yeah, Nicky's horse.
It's not that unexposed, I should say.
No. He's probably not a bad horse either. Yeah, he'd run well in the race.
I heard it's well fancied in this race now, but I won't be having my own money on it now. But look, I think it's an open race. It'll be 5 or 6 of them turning in with a chance, and
20 of them, I'd say.
Yeah, it could happen even. Yeah.
There won't be a Langer Dan this year anyway.
No, I don't know what you'd go for, to be honest.
I think Dan is quite adamant to be aware. Could be the Langer Dan. He's very sweet in him. I did a preview of him the other day. He said he still really fancies him. He said probably 6-1. The price is probably gone for a 25 or 26 runner handicap. It's hard to say like that, but there is a horse. I'm not even sure he's running, but there's a horse of Tony Martin's. He's in a few of the handicaps. He's his only entry, and Johnny will tell you how good a trainer Tony Martin is. It's a Hamsian, good flat horse. I see he's 20-1 in this, but he won't get in. I'd say he'll run in one of these handicaps if he gets in, and he's worth following.
It's amazing. He's a 90 rated flat horse.
Yeah,
off a 1-2-1.
Yeah, exactly, and he's shown a bit over hurdles to suggest he's very well handicapped. Maybe too well handicapped for them because he probably won't get a run in any of these races.
Yeah, 20-1. I got Hamsilan at the moment with Priced Up. On to the cross country now. Stumptown is the Stumptown is a 5-2 favourite. Had a Galvin at 7-2, Mr. Coffee 7-1, Vanillier and Bustleton both 8-1. Iseo Madrick is 10-1, Late Night Pass 12-1. 16-1, the other two. Is this a race, Johnny, you get involved in?
No, it isn't really. No, I mean, I didn't really like the race last few years, and the fact that they made it a handicap makes it even worse. Stumptown is probably weighted up to his best. I think he's running off 157. Is that right? Yep. That's a big rating for a horse of like 157 is within what 8 or 10 pound of been running in the Gold Cup. You know what I mean, that kind of thing.
Oh, he should be running this year's Gold Cup, man, shouldn't he?
Yeah, maybe so. Look, he's a good horse, but I'd say that he won Not Wanted one day at one of these earlier meetings and got a hike for it, and that could count against him here. There seems to be good talk of Galvin, but Galvin is an old horse at the same time. Mr. Coffee's Ginnet and Vanillier.
A what?
Ginnet.
What's a Ginnet?
Kind of a donkey, isn't it?
A donkey.
Yeah. Vanillier won well in Punchestown with the blinkers on him, and then won the Albert Bradley. So maybe look, if I had to pick one, that might have. Bustleton has been kept for this, but I'd say a lot of Irish horses have been kept for this. The one that was also been kept at Stumptown, but he blew it and that's going to count against him here. There will be Irish horses here with bad form that have better chances than you think, but I still wouldn't like to try to pick the one that will win it at the same time.
I think Bustleton really. I was keen in a couple of our earlier previews in Stumptown, and the more I've done, the more I've heard about Bustleton. Basically, this will be the first day they'll want him this season. He's toured around in a couple of these races, and I think this has been the plan a long time. Bustleton, what is he there?
Yeah, 8-1.
I think he'll be shorter on the day because I think people are going to come from.
Interesting. Blogsy?
How many horses in this race are capable of winning a Grade 1 or have won a Grade 1? Galvin.
1, yeah.
Who beat A Plutar, the Gold Cup winner. He's working the house down at Gordon Elliott's, and I think he's going to turn this into a procession.
Do you think it goes off Fav?
I'd say so on the day. I think he's a better horse than Stumptown. I mean, you look at his career resume, 4th in the Grand National, 2nd to Delta Work in the race in 2023, 4th in the Gold Cup in 2020. He's a Grade 1 winner. He went out to America for the American Champion Hurdle over a trip well short of his best. God knows what that form equates to. But I think he's the best horse in that race, and he'll love the drying ground. I think he'll win this race by 5 or 10 lengths.
Ooh, there we go. Galvin by 5 or 10. Keep your eyes peeled for any specials there. Blogsy specials up with Priced Up on the day. None of you put up Stumptown, but if you fancy Stumptown, then Priced Up have boosted Stumptown out from 5-2 out to 3-1. That's live on site now, with good reason, it sounds like, listening to the guys. On to the big race of the day. on Wednesday. John Bon is the 10 to 11 favourite for the Champion Chase ahead of Marine Nationale at 13 to 2. Energumene 15 to 2. Solness 17 to 2. Gaelic Warrior 14 to 1. Found 50 16 to 1. Le Francais 16 to 1. 28 to 1 bar those. And Aidan, got to come to you first. John Bon, unbeaten away from Cheltenham, has had a couple of difficult days. Well, a couple of second place finishes, a couple of under you at the festival. How do you rate his chances in this field?
Look, this race is run anywhere else. John Bon is a 1 to 10 shot, even shorter. Like it's not even a competition. He's not at his best around Cheltenham. I'm adamant to that. Very sure of it, but he's still not a bad horse around Cheltenham. I cannot see anything in this race to beat him. I can't even see tactically anything to beat him that could go wrong, really. But Cheltenham is definitely the elephant in the room when it comes to John Bon. And it's a weak Champion Chase when you take him out. And, not saying I'd love to take him on because I'd love to see him win, or actually don't care if he wins or not, to be honest. But, like, in the fact, in a way, like, I would like to see him win, as in the fact I do like the horse, but I cannot see what's going to beat him. Marine Nationale is just getting the hang of chasing, and he's just coming to the boil. Every run has been a step in the right direction, and I do think you're going to see a better Marine Nationale than we've seen over fences. I think he'll appreciate the Cheltenham fences more than he did the Leopardstown ones. He's not the best jumper. I think he lacks a bit of scope, and Leopardstown fences are probably a bit big for him. In saying that, like, an all-known form, even if John Bon's is good around Cheltenham or not, I cannot see really what's going to beat him. So yeah, it's John Bon.
It's John Bon.
Hard watch.
And John Bon is the boosts for Priced Up, out from 10 to 11 out to even money. About John Bon live on site now under the Priced Up boosts on site. Blogsy, do you see this as another fab that goes in?
I want to be a believer. It's like Arsenal winning the Premier League. I want to believe they can do it.
That's not an even money shot.
Probably not. Probably not.
Definitely not.
Yeah, he's had 20 career starts. He's won 17 out of 20.
Yeah.
It's an unbelievable strike rate.
He's 3 defeats.
All at Cheltenham. And it is worrying. Like, obviously, the defeat when James Bowen got beat on him, he walked through the third last. I don't know how he stood up.
Yeah, true. But
you can account Elek the nuts. Yeah, 154 handicapper. Yeah.
That's the thing for me. Like, someone said to me, could you not make excuses for every time he's got beat at Cheltenham? I was like, yeah, but why is he not got beat anywhere else? Why is there only excuses at Cheltenham?
Yeah.
And he wins everywhere else. Like, fair enough. And I can buy into it in the fact that we went far too fast in the Supreme Novice, and he wouldn't have beat Constitutional, which is no disgrace.
Wins any other Supreme.
He does, yeah, he does. He really does. And to be fair, he was not right in the Arkle. He couldn't move out of his own way. His schooling had been poor beforehand. He just wasn't right. I promise you now, he was stuck to the ground. He never jumped, never did anything right. So again, it's there, and it's an excuse and a logical one. And then the day with James, he made that mistake, and it's another excuse. But, like, there's never been a mistake or excuse around Sandown, everywhere else. He's turned up everywhere else and won. And why does it always seem to be something at Cheltenham trips him up?
So how best off his best form at Cheltenham do you reckon he is? £5 below, £7 below?
Still good enough to win this. Basically it really.
Yeah. I mean, you look at an argument, a third favourite, an 11-year-old who needs heavy ground.
Yeah, like
he's going to be run off his feet, isn't he?
100%. I was thinking like Marine Nationale or maybe Solness if Leopardstown wasn't a fluke. Like, it's actually easier for Solness to do what he did around Leopardstown around Cheltenham than it is around there. It's very hard for a horse to go as fast as he did around a track like Leopardstown. It'd be a lot easier to do that on this track.
So he'll bounce out, won't he, and make the
point? Oh, yeah. But you could arguably say that would suit John Bon as well. Yeah. So I'd like to take John Bon on, but I'm struggling to. I really am.
I certainly won't be taking him on. Whether or not I'm in the ring on the day, hammering him will probably depend on how I'm going.
Is there anything between taking him on and hammering him?
Well, if I'm winning loads come that time, I might sit back and I'd get as much joy as backing him as in winning with no bet, just to cheer him home, because I love the horse, and to see Nicky Henderson crying his eyes out. That would mean a lot to me. I'm a racing purist. I'm a fanboy, so I don't have to have money on a great horse to appreciate him. Like Frankel was 10 to 1 on every time he ran, and my heart was out of my mouth watching him. He has to win. We need John Bon to do it finally.
Were you on Trev the day you were lifting her in France?
Big time. Enable, you mean Enable? When she got beat.
Yeah.
That was the biggest anti-post bet of my life. People don't realise that.
Still now?
Anti-post. So what I was going to win, she'd be the third biggest. and I worked so hard.
What's first?
Well, Desert Flower recently, I really went to work on that behind the scenes. There
Is
wasn't
anything? Is behind the scenes even a thing in your life?
Well, can't say too much these days, can you? But yeah, we'll stick to John Bon, and we all want to see him win, don't we? It's a bad champion chase. I mean, Gaelic Warrior, where's he been this year? Where has he been? He's been on holiday the whole time. Elek Francais not running. Quixilios isn't good enough.
He should run, in my opinion. Elek Francais. Absolutely, this is a no-brainer for me. I can't believe they're even entertaining the Ryanair.
I'd agree. I mean, you'd rather take on John Bon than Factor Fall.
Well, I just don't think he'll get up the hill first time in the Ryanair. Never mind twice. He's got a chance around this track, but he's absolutely no chance around. He's laid a week around the other track.
We'll get there.
We'll get there, yeah.
John Bon.
Yeah, I agree with Elek Francais. I'd like to see him run here. I think he would have had a better chance. John Bon, I agree with the boys there. He looks a pretty solid favourite. Just there's two little niggles I'd have. Just the fact that the favourites have the modern day record of favourites in this race is horrific. For some reason, you've seen 2 to 9s, 2 to 7s, 2 to 5s, 8 to 13s, and odds. Another one, I don't know, Shishkin. You had, what else did you? We had
Definitely the Soy.
Chacun Pour Soi.
Chacun Pour Soi, Defi de Soy, the one last year, El Fabiolo. In the last 10 years, you had 5 or 6 odds on chances beat. That's a slight concern, and funny horses have won it. The likes of Captain Guinness have won it, and the likes of the Bromwich, the 3 horses that won it, you would just say they couldn't win it. Especially, yeah, exactly. So, that would be slightly concerning. I'm not a statsman or anything like that, and it's another race, and it probably should win. But I think Marine National is coming. It's only at 6.
You agree with me, Johnny, in the fact that he's just
yes
learning on the job.
He's only run 6 times, over fences, and he's a second season horse now. He was still good enough to win the Supreme, whereas John Bon beat 100 yards in the Supreme. You know what I mean? So he is a good horse. He will like the ground here. The ground here is going to suit him a lot better than the stuff he's been running on in Ireland. I definitely think good to soft ground is going to suit him perfectly. He runs with his head out to the side as if he has a touch of a wind issue. He has the ability to trouble John Bon. I think he's the best horse John Bon will have run against this year, and he's probably the only danger to it, really, I think. Even if John Bon performs below his best, he should beat the rest of them. If I was going, I could actually see Quilixius running well here. It's like something that the Brahma will do. That thing could perform better than it has been running. It has no chance on what it's been doing this year, but it's beaten by 100. It's beaten in the Tingle Creek well by John Bon as well. But your man's horses run well here. But I would be afraid of Marine National. And I'm not saying I wouldn't put anyone off John Bon, but I won't back it myself. That's all.
Won't be a dry eye in the house if Marine National does win on Wednesday, 13 to 2.
He is strong in the betting too in the last maybe 2 weeks. He's come from double figures into. He's going to be bang clear second favourite here.
I know we'll get on to it literally in a second, but will Liberty Hunter run in this, do you think?
I think looking at the bet, you'd say he's going for the 2-mile handicap chase.
Yeah, which is the next race, really, isn't it?
Is it? Yeah.
But I was thinking
he should be running in this as well.
Yeah, I think so. Yeah,
the style of running to suit him.
I think
if that wins, I'd retire Solidus. That has no chance in this race, I think. Anyway, that horse was running in conditioned hurdles in Sligo about 6 months ago. Do you know what I mean? It ran down in Clonmel this year against. I can't remember what beat it in Clonmel there at the start of the season. It was a 2.5 mile race, admittedly, but it was beat turning in. It was a Mullins horse anyway.
Saint Sam.
For fuck's sake. Saint Sam wouldn't bait pussy. That has no chance, Solidus, I think, anyway. I do think if John Bon is to get beaten, it'll be by Marine National.
Let's move on. On to the Grand Annual now, and Liberty Hunter and Unexpected Party are the 15 to 2 joint favourites. Firefox 8 to 1, My Mate Mozzie 9 to 1, Jazzy Matty, and the King of 10 to 1. Touch Me Not 10 to 1, Springwell Bay and So Scottish both 11 to 1.
You can come to me first.
Yeah.
I have no opinion.
Didn't you spring? Yeah, fine. Blogsy.
Obviously, Unexpected Party won the race last year for 138. He's back up to 144. He's been creeping into form for the wily old Dan Skelton team. They've laid it out for the race again. You kind of have to have him on your mind. They're very shrewd at doing this. We've seen them do it over the years. But again, I like another Gavin Cromwell horse in here, the 9-year-old My Mate Mozzie, who's a 9 to 1 shot. He 6th in the Arkle. He's running off a 1.51. He's been creeping back into form, and I was watching him down there at Gavin's. They really like this horse, and they think the ground's come right for him. They're expecting him to go very close. I think it's a great each way bet.
My mate Mozzie, 9-1 for Blogsy. Johnny, how do you see it?
Yeah, look, it's tough. It's a tough race. It is always. The Grand Annual is all about getting position early on. I think if you're not in the first 6 or 7, the ones that are hanging on to all day, they'll never get into it. I think, you need to make jump properly as well. My mate Mozzie is a really strong travelling horse. I can see him looking like a winner, but he don't find much at the end. And your man will have to produce him he'll have to ride him like Archibald to actually win the race. You know what I mean? But he'll give you a great squeeze for an each way bet at the same time. I'd expect him to be placed, but he'll definitely, like, if you never saw the horse run before and you walked in and watched the race, you'd say, geez, your man in the blue will win. You know what I mean? He'll win, but he won't find nothing if he comes under any kind of duress. So, but I'd say I wouldn't put anyone off back in the each way. Maybe Dunno was a great jockey, and he might just get him to put his head in front where it counts. But I wouldn't be backing him either at the same time.
Anything you would be backing here?
No, not really. I think it's a hard race. Look,
I would agree with you said, something that's ridden prominently in this race.
Yeah.
You know, the Grand Annual of old, where Paul Carberry gave Belvano, great ride, completely different track. Might as well be in a different country. It'd be very hard to come from behind in this race. So anything that's ridden prominently is a massive advantage in this race. If you think you've got something you fancy and it's a hold-up horse, I would be not on this track.
Right, we'll move on to the final race of Wednesday's card, the Champion Bumper. Game of Inches is the 3-1 favourite, ahead of Copacabana at 7-2, Calypso Chance 6-1, Bambino Fever 7-1, Aquaforce 10-1, Kaiser Ball 12-1, No Drama This End 12-1, 14-1 bar those. Blogsy, who do you fancy in the bumper?
Yeah, it's a complete nightmare at this stage. I mean, Willie Mullins has got 4 out of the first 5 in the betting there. JP McManus has just bought Aquaforce. The vibes from Close Sutton were Game of Finches is an absolute weapon, but he needs soft ground, and the way the ground's going to dry out, I can't see him being 3-1 on the day. I think he'll go off at 5-1. I know Ruby Walsh has been putting the big one on Copacabana there, won nicely on debut. Ruby would know a hell of a lot more than the most of us with his connection there to Willie Mullins, but a big fan.
Tipping hasn't a great record, does it?
No, absolutely. Stick it into him, Aidan. Stick it into him.
He knows far more than me, but like I don't even know what he tips, but it's supposed to be not great, is it?
I'm gonna stick with Gordon Elliott here. Clips out a chance. He won a point-to-point there at Corbridge by 13 lengths. Absolutely hacked up at Punchestown, and then Patrick rode him at Navan, and Patrick rode him cold, and he quickened the way by 5 lengths to win really nicely. I think he's guaranteed to be in the first 3, and I think there's doubts about a lot of those Willie Mullins horses there. No one really knows who's the best of the best. I think they're all guessing, and I think Calypso Chance is a live chance in a really confusing betting race. Really, I'll be at the bar for that one.
6-1 about Calypso Chance. Heavy odds on Blogger at the bar. Johnny, what's your selection?
Yeah, like I always found that even working there as a bookie, you love the bumper. You know what I mean? It was the one race you'd really look forward to for the whole 4 days, because there was only 3 places for starters. They bet each way, and literally anything. It was like loads of horses. It always reminds me of the Coventry Stakes, where in Ascot, where you have horses with 1 win. You have no idea how good they are, really. You know what I mean? And there's a lot of guesswork involved. Game of Inches is definitely a soft ground horse. Hits the ground, to me, like he looks like an Irish soft ground horse, you know. So Copacabana won well in Navan, and I'd say he'd be the one I'd pick if I had to have a bet. Calypso Chance won bumpers back along a bit before Christmas. I think the nearer you get to the festival, I think you're probably coming up with better types of horse. That's no chance. Bambino Fever, and neither is Aquaforce. I don't think they have any way. I'd say the fact Aquaforce bought by JP, say he'd nothing to run, and this thing came up and won. Was it a mare's race by half the track? And it was just like Christmas for your man that owned it. Do you know what I mean? He just landed on the right time with any kind of a horse, and I'd say he got a lump for it, and it's gone. I wouldn't blame him for selling it either. I think it's a 6-year-old, is it, Aquaforce? Yeah. With a big white face. That has a 0 in this race anyway. I don't know. Kaiser Ball is a good horse, but it's probably going to be ridden by a young fella, claiming 7, which is probably going to be, that's probably going to be up against it. And after that, No Drama This End won well in that one in Warwick. It's probably not a bad horse, but it's hard to judge them. It's just so hard to judge these horses with 1 run only, you know. But they were saying all along that Mullins had no bumper horses. Yet next thing in the space of a week, he landed winning with Game of Inches, Copacabana, and Kaiser Ball. I'd say 3 good horses. But I think I'd maybe go with, if I had to go, it'd be Copacabana.
Copacabana 7-2. Aidan, anything for you in the bumper?
like one thing I do struggle with is getting vintages, even if it came up soft, which it's highly unlikely. 20 days between runs for bumper horses, you'd never do that normally, would you, Johnny? Like that's
No, I'd say Mullins is the one that gives him the time normally.
yeah, that's an absolute minimal. Like literally, to turn a young horse around from one run to the next 20 days that's not long enough for me. That on top of the ground, I think he's nearly a lay more than a win, and that's nothing to do with ability. I'm sure, like there's every chance he could be the best horse in this race on soft ground, but the ground is highly unlikely to be soft. And I think it is interesting that they've said all along that Willie has no bumper horses, and now he's got 4 to 5 favourites. Maybe he doesn't have a bumper horse, and they're only that price for reputation. So I'd be looking elsewhere, like a Gordon Elliott or some. I fancied the David Pipe horse, but win many by wings, but that doesn't matter now. It doesn't run. It's hard to have a strong opinion in this race. To be fair, you'd want to be a degenerate punter to be back in anything strong in this race. That's my opinion.
Right, I'll tear up more of my slips at home. Let's get the naps and the outsiders from each of you before we end our day 2 preview. Blogger, what's your best bet of the day and what's your outsider?
Yeah, the nap's going to be Galvin at 7 to 2. The next best is going to be Ballyburn. He's going to burn the house down. And the big outsider there is going to be the one that I just stuck up there, my mate Mozzie at 9s.
Johnny?
Yeah, I'll go the new line in the Turners as my nap, and I'll go Marine National maybe for a slightly bigger price.
Aidan?
Where was it? Nap was going to be Ballyburn, and outsider is Bustleton enough an outsider to go for?
Yeah.
8 to 1, yeah. Bustleton.
There is our day 2 preview. We'll be recording day 3 in just a second, so keep your eyes peeled for that. And make sure you check out PricedUp.bet for all of the price boosts we've been talking about. They've got you covered through the festival and on the social channels as well. They'll be posting boosts throughout the week ahead of it and during the week too, so check that out. And keep your eyes peeled for episode 3. In the meantime, enjoy the racing and please ensure you're gambling responsibly.